So now we have a method that can return a JSON Web Token once we give that method a user principal. So we have the secret. Actually, I gotta fix this. I didn't realize that. So here we have to put a $, and then we have to put curly braces around this thing, like this. Okay, so that's how. So this method can actually generate the token once we give him the user principal after the user has been authenticated. And you're gonna see this in use once we build our controller and then we build the login page. So let me just finish this method. So for the claim, I just have to create a list of string. So let's do list string, and let's just call those authorities, right? Authorities. So let's just set this to a new string array. So that's going to be a new array list. So once I have this list, all I have to do now is to just get all the authorities from the actual principal. So let's just create a quick loop. So let's do for granted authority, which is what we're going to get. And let's just call them granted authority. And that's coming from the user that we're going to get here. User principal. I mean, I can just call it user. So let's say from the user, we can get all the authorities. So that's going to be a list. And then what we want to do, we want to add every single one of those granted authorities into this. So I'm going to copy this and do add, and then we pass in the granted authorities. And we need to get the authority from here because this returns an object. And when we do get authority, that's when we get a string here, as you can see, which is why I defined this as a list of string. Now all we have to do is to just return this list as a string array, which is pretty easy. So we're just going to return the authorities, and then we're going to call to array, and then we're just going to have to pass in the actual class of string, which is what we want. So we're going to do new string and we'll put 0. Okay, so that's going to make sure we return this as an array of string instead of a list of string. So now that we have this, we can go ahead and create the other methods that we're going to need in this provider or utility class. So the next one is going to be to get the authorities from the token. So let's do public, and that's going to return a list of granted authority. So let's do list granted authority, and let's just call it get authorities. And this is going to take the token. So let's do string, token is a string, token. So from the token, we will need to get all the authorities. That's when the user is trying to access the information. We need to get the token and then determine what authorities that they have before we can let them access certain things. So here, let's get all the claims. So let's do string, which is going to be an array. Let's just do claim. And we need to create another method that can get all the claims from the token, which is going to be a private method. So let's do get, instead of get claim from user, we're going to do get claim from token. And then we can just pass in the actual token. Okay, so that's going to give us all the claim from the token. And of course, I need to create this method. So I'm just going to create it down here just to get rid of this error. Okay. So once we have that, what we need to do now is to return all the list of authorities. So let's do return, and let's do a stream, and let's stream on all the claims, and then we can just map them to a new simple granted authority, which is something similar that we did when we were dealing with the user principal. So here we have to call map, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Java 8. Import and import map. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with Java 8, but whenever you call stream, that means you're gonna technically loop over some collection, which is what this is. This claims a variable, it's a collection because it's an array, and I call a stream, and I'm going to start looping. Whenever we call map, it's because we want to transform every single item in the actual collection. So I'm going to go through the collection, which is, you can think of stream as a loop, which is not exactly what it is, but it behaves similar. And then for the map, we're just going to create a simple grain authority. So simple grain authority, and then we're going to use a method reference, so new, and then we just have to collect all of this into an actual a list, because that's what we're returning. So we're going to do collect, and then we're going to call the collectors again, and then we're just going to do toList. Okay, so that's what we need to do here. So as you can see, IntelliJ makes this return void, so it has to return an array of string. And let's just make it return null for now, because I don't want this to give me this red message. So, and then this is supposed to be collectors. So all I'm doing here is to create a list of simple grain authority which extend grain authority, and I just create a new object of this type for every single claim that I have. So let me just create the get claims from token. So we're not going to return null, but we have to call the JWT verifier, which comes with the library that we get in the dependencies. So JWT verifier, that's going to come from it's going to come from our library, and then we're just going to call it verifier. And let's just do we need to create a method to get that verifier. So let's do get get, and I'm just going to copy this like this. So that's not going to take anything, and let me go ahead and create it. Create this method. Okay, so that's going to return a JWT verifier, and all we have to do now to verify the token is to just pass in the verifier, and then we're going to verify the token with the claims that we provided, with the name of the claims that we provided. So all we have to do now is to just return the verifier, and we need to verify the token. So that's going to be the token, and then we need to get all the claims. So we can do get claim, and then we pass in the name of the claim that we want, which is authorities, which is what we define as their name. And then since this is an array of string, we just have to turn this into an array of string so that we can return the actual type that we need to return. So as array, and then we just pass in the string class, which is what this is, an array of string. Okay, so that's all we have to do here so that we can get all the claims from the token, and that's just going to return a list of all of the actual token. Now for the verifier, again, we're just going to have to call the actual verifier from the library. So all we have to do is call verifier. We're going to define the verifier here, and then let's do a try catch, and let's do that. And so here all we have to do is to just call the algorithm that we use to decode the secret, and then with that algorithm we're just gonna pass it over to the JWT library so that we can get what we need. So let's just do algorithm, and let's just define this algorithm, and then we're just gonna set it equals to our algorithm, so which is MC12, and then we pass in the secrets that we define. And then with that verifier, all we have to do is to just call the verifier and then set it equal to JWT that require, and we pass in the algorithm, which is the one we just defined with our secret. And again, this is not magic. This is not something that I like studied by heart or anything like that. I just went through the documentation from the actual GitHub page, and then I just see how it works. They all do the same thing. At the end of the day, you can use whatever library you want. They will do the same thing. The only concern would be, you know, do you trust whatever party created this library. That's the only thing. But they just do an implementation of the specification on how this thing is supposed to work. So that's all I'm doing here. So I'm not really doing anything specific. I've been looking at the library, I've used it, and then I just know how to use it. And then after that, we have to pass in the issuer. In this case, which is going to be the company name. So it's going to be the same company name that we specify, and then we just have to call build on that. Okay, that's it. So now we have the verifier. We can actually return that verifier. So after the catch block, and here we can just return the verifier. Okay, because that's what this is doing. It's just returning a verifier. And then here we can catch some an exception. I think the exception they have is JWT verification exception, and we're just gonna call it exception. And here we can just throw it in case something happens. So we can just throw the exception, which is a new this exception. If I want, I can just throw this because that's the actual exception. I didn't have to create a new one. But the reason I don't want to throw this exception is because I don't want to throw that back to the user, and then the user can see the inner workings of my actual application. So I'm just gonna create a new object and then just call in the token cannot be verified that we actually used. Okay, so that's why we created this. We're just gonna pass this string. So whenever this error is thrown, it's just gonna be, oh, this is the error, token JWT verification token exception, and it's just gonna pass in this message. It's not gonna take the message from the actual exception, which can reveal like critical information about the application and how we actually like define it. Okay, so that's why I'm doing it like this. I just throw some random string to explain what happened. So we can still use it as it is for now, but I want to just finish this altogether. So once I finish it, and then we're gonna go ahead and create the login. I still have a few more methods that I need to put in, but the video can't be too long. So I'm gonna stop the video now, and then I'm gonna continue in the next one.